Today we're going to discuss how to add a field here on this feature for this particular bundle, how to make it required, and then also let's say we wanted the sales reps to select vegan or non-vegan for this product and make it required. And then once they make their selection, we don't want them to see any non-vegan items or vice versa, right? So if they selected vegan, obviously you don't want the chicken shape, the face shaped chicken, or you don't want the octopus hot dogs. You only want the fried tofu bears to be shown. So what you're looking is when you click on vegan, dynamically the only product here you're going to see, disregard this one, we have to select some products here, but the only thing you want to see is the fried tofu. So starting from the very beginning, as you can see, there was a new product that I added under protein, which was fried tofu bears. So what I would like for you to do is go ahead and create this new product, giving it a product family as a protein, and also making sure that you come up with a unique product code in case you needed to reference it in the future, setting it as active. Then also from there, setting up a price book. I set the standard price as $3 and the wholesale price as $2. So pause the video and create those products. So now that you have the tofu product already set and ready to go, again, we need to establish the link between this bundle product and that new tofu product. So we need to create an option, which is the junction option object record that we need to create to get that ready. So hovering over options, you would click on new here. I've already created one. And so within my options, I just selected the fried tofu bears under the optional SKU. Then you want to associate it to a feature. We already had the feature set up, so we just need to link it here. So once you have your new product, just go take a look and make sure that everything looks right, clearing your filter so that you can see your premium bundle. So looking into our bundle, we do see our new product, our fried tofu bears here, linked to the bundle. So the next thing we need to do in order to see a field appear on the feature here, the first thing we need to do is create the actual field on the product option object. Okay. So the reason why that field is on the option is because you're going to have it here, right? So the field will live on that product option object, and then from there we will create what's called a configuration attribute that will actually make it appear on the page. So what you would do is go to Object Manager, go to Product Option, New Field, Fields in Relationship to create the new field. I've already created a field called Protein Type. So when you click on New, just give it the label as Protein Type here. And then you want it to be a pick list value. So select the data type as a pick list value. And then you would give it these values, vegan and non-vegan, just like that. All right, so once you have this field on your product option object, the next thing you need to do is go back to your bundle, your premium bundle. There is a related list. You may see it on the quick links or go to the related tab, but it's another object called configuration attributes. When you add a configuration attribute to a particular product, that is what will allow it to the new field to show up. Because right now you've created the new field, but it's not here. It's nowhere on the selection screen. So what we're going to do is click on New. So you want to label it usually the same as the field that you've created. So I've labeled it as protein type. The order is going to be 1, so we want to see it on the first row because essentially you can have more than one row. So you can have one row of fields, a second set of rows. So on this configuration attribute, you were saying that this first one we're creating will be on row 1 and column order is number 1. Again, you can have a column here, a column here, a column here. I believe it goes up to a 3. It goes up to 3 columns. So we're selecting 1 as the first column. We also want it to appear at the very top. And then also one other thing to consider is the targeted field. That field that we created on the product option, this is where we need to put in the API name on this field. So what I want you to do is go to configuration attribute, go back to object manager, pause. So what I want you to do is go to configuration attribute, object manager, from object manager. And if you forget what object you're on, you can always take a look. I see the record that I need to add this API name. This is configuration attribute. And then the field is target field. So if you go to fields and relationships, target field, you see it's a pick list value. So we need to add the API name of the field that we just created here. So I've added it already. So you would just click on new, and then you would just copy in the API name. So once you add in that API name, you will be prompted to determine which layout you should have it on. There's 2 different types of layouts for configuration attributes. One is a global and one is configuration. For now, you can just select both so that you can save for now. So once you've added the pick list value, you always have to come back here and close out, refresh. Because if you don't, you'll say, I've added it, but I don't see it. Always close out, refresh the page, and it will show up. So now that you have the protein type API name here, so you can select it, you want to click on apply to options. So what that means is when the sales reps comes in and make their selection, we want the value that they have selected to be auto-populated and stored on the product option object so that you can reference it if needed. Another very, very important field here when you have configuration attributes. If you are, let's say, dynamically, I showed you at the beginning, once you selected vegan, you automatically want the screen to refresh and do whatever logic you want to happen. So you want those products to be hidden. You need to have apply immediately on the configuration attribute for that to happen, or else the screen won't refresh. So just click save. All right, so now going back to my quote, let me go out of this screen and I want to show you what we have set up so far. So starting from the beginning, adding my products, I need to go to the premium, clearing my filters. I need to go to the premium product. So what you see here is you see the new field and you see the new pick list value. So you can either, depending on the business requirement, you can have this field show at the product level, or you can have it show only on the feature level. A good use case would be if you had more than one section that had vegan or non-vegan items within here, then you would want to have this configuration attribute at the product level so that it can be applied to all of the proteins. But in this particular situation, I believe that the best option is to have this configuration attribute at the feature level, right? Because this is the only feature that has non-vegan items. So it would be easier for them to just see it here. So in order to do that, you can go back to the configuration attribute record and you can tell it which feature you want it to appear on. So if I typed in protein, click save. Let's go back to my quote, cancel out, come back in. Let's see if it'll appear here. Yep. So now as you can see, since I've added the feature to the configuration attribute record, the feature name, the feature now appears here. All right. So one more step, we have the product, we have the configuration attribute, but now we need the logic to tell it what to do, right? So when they select vegan, nothing's happening, right? Because we don't have any logic in place. So what does that mean? We need to use some CPQ automation in order to make that happen. So what we would use is our product rule. So we'll go to our product rules, clicking on new. We can give it a name of hide non-vegan products, clicking on active. And the type, again, this is a selection. So what we're looking to happen is we want, upon selection of the protein type, we want something to happen. So that's why we want a selection product rule. All of the conditions should be met in this situation. And the scope, remember, the quote is on the quote line editor. The product is on the product selection screen. So we want it to be on product. We want it to always evaluate. And that's enough for right now. So the next thing is we want to set an error condition. So under what conditions should we hide these products? So we'll set it as an index of 10. This is our first error condition for this rule. The object is going to be configuration attribute. We just created a configuration attribute, so it needs to look there based off of that information that the sales rep has populated, rather or not if it's vegan or non-vegan. That's what we want to look for. So the object is configuration attribute. And again, tested field, you do need to populate the field that we need to test, right? We want the automation to take a look at the protein type that the user has selected on the configuration attribute. So you need to also go to the error condition, go to setup, go to our fields and relationship, tested field. So this is our tested field. And so you want to go and grab the API name from the product option object for that field of protein type. So you want to click on new and copy in the protein type as an API name. One other thing is, if you take a look, this is the dependent pick list. So depending on which selection you choose will determine what fields are available. So once you have added the pick list value, you need to come in here into the pick list option, clicking on change to change the controlling field. And what you're looking for is the object configuration attribute. So when you add your pick list value, this will be unselected. So you need to look for configuration attribute object, double click on protein type, click save. And once you come in, again, you would have to close this out, do a refresh. And once you select configuration attributes, you will see the protein type. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we looking to do? So when the protein type equals value protein, we want something to happen, right? We haven't gotten to what we're going to have happen, but whenever the protein it equals protein, the protein type equals protein, we want something to happen. So that's all we need for this rule. So let's click save. So now let's ask ourselves, what do we want to happen? So this is where we would use our action. So we want to hide and remove a particular product, a non-vegan product, right? So I'm going to go into my products. I know I have the octopus hot dog, so I don't want to show the hot dogs, right? That's all you need to do is state the action. The action is hide and remove octopus hot dogs. But I do have one more protein option that's not vegan. So let's create a new, sorry, click the wrong one. I do have another protein that is a non-vegan option as well. So I need to create a new action. And I want to hide and remove, I believe it's the chicken. And you click save. So now we have our rule in place. We have our condition when it should fire, when vegan is selected. We have the action that we want to take once vegan is selected, and that's hiding the non-vegan products. One last thing on the configuration rule, we need to state, well, what product should this rule apply to, right? You may only want it to apply to one particular rule, but if you have you may only want it to apply to one particular product, right? In that case, you would select the configuration rule as active, search for the bundle product, which is this bento box bundle, and you'll click save. That's all you need to do. But if you did have multiple bundles where you also wanted to have that configuration attribute on, you can create additional configuration rules and just adding a new one and just updating the bundle name, and that's it. So let's go to our quote. I'm going to add the premium bundle, removing my filters and clicking that. So we see our configuration attribute. So what we want to happen is once we select vegan, we want these products to be hidden. The face chicken hot dogs, and the face shaped chicken and the octopus hot dogs. So if I click on vegan, before I do that, let me select some mandatory options here or else we'll see an error. So once I select vegan, the system is thinking. After making the selections, I noticed that my products were not hiding. So I went back and took a look at my rule to see what was going on. So looking at the error condition, I noticed that I typed in protein instead of vegan. So just did a little troubleshooting and noticed obviously the pick list values in our field is vegan and non-vegan. So just want to make sure that you're typing in the right thing in your filter value. And then once you've made that correction, so now what you're looking to have happen is when you select vegan, you're looking for these hot dog and chicken shaped products to be hidden. So if I click on vegan, now it's hidden. And so it's requiring me to select a protein because as you can see for this feature, you need to select at least one. All right. So we've accomplished the goal of hiding products. If the user selects vegan, you can hide them. One thing to consider is you would always want your configuration attribute to be a required field if you have logic around it. So what you would want to do is you would go to your product, which is the premium bundle, and you would go to the configuration attribute. As you can see here, the required checkbox is not true. So if you want it to be required, then all you need to do is select the required field here and it'll make it mandatory. So if I click save, and let me go out of this quote so that you can see what that would look like. Add the products, clearing my filter. And so if I select the premium this time, we see a red line here indicating that it is required. So selecting some of the products that are required. So keep in mind, we've set up the rule to fire when they select vegan, right? And they are hidden. But let's say, what if the sales reps made a mistake and they selected the wrong thing and they wanted to select non-vegan? Well, the system will not show you the original products, right? Because we don't have any automation in place to show them. All right. So this is where you would have to create another product rule to show the products when it is non-vegan. So we want to show the hot dogs and the chicken. So quickly, let's go to our product rule and clicking on new. So giving it a title of show non-vegan products, selecting it as active. And again, this is a selection, just like the last one, selection type, all conditions. And we want to have it scoped at the product selection screen. So we're going to click on product. We want it to always evaluate and click on save. All right, so we have our rule set up, but we need to establish a condition. So this is the first error condition in this rule. So we'll add it as an index of 10. Again, it's going to be at the configuration attribute level, and we're going to be looking at the same product, the protein type. So we want this one to fire when it equals value non-vegan. So this is the opposite. Clicking on save. So what do we want it to do when it equals non-vegan? We just want to show the products, right? So we want to show the hot dogs. And that's all you need. Clicking save. And then we want to show the other non-vegan option. So we want to show the chicken. And then lastly, what bundle product should this apply to? So selecting it as active, and this should apply to the bento box bundle. All right, so I think we're all set. So let me get out of this Visualforce page. Just want to make sure that the rules fire when they're supposed to. So going back in to add the premium bundle product, clearing the filter. All right, so let's add our premium product. So we are selecting some of the other required products within a different feature. So again, so if I select vegan, we want the non-vegan ones to be hidden, right? So now with our change, if the sales rep says, you know what, no, it's not vegan, it's non-vegan. Clicking on non-vegan, guess what? We see all of them. We see all of the products, giving the user the option to select whatever they want. But if there was a situation where if you clicked on non-vegan, they don't even want to see the tofu bears, you can create another rule to hide the tofu bears once it is equal to non-vegan. But in this situation, if it's non-vegan, they probably want the option to select anything here. So that concludes this session. Please take time to build this out in your org, get familiar with it, and just test it out as well.